Hi everyone. We thought we would do our first ever tips video. We've never really done tips on the parks and things before, but as we were going around Disneyland Paris this time, we were kind of thinking of things as we go, so we made a little bit of a list. So we have a list to go, and we thought we would offer just our tips. Some of them may be the same as other people's tips, some of them might not be, I don't know. But we thought we would just offer up some of our thoughts and some of our tips if you are going to Disneyland Paris that may help you out. So, tip number 1, book your restaurant reservations as early in advance as possible. And that's a really kind of important one if you are looking to eat at some of the restaurants in the parks. Certain restaurants like either Walt's or downtown.
I would definitely say downtown.
Downtown.
I tried on it and off for a number of weeks, and I must have been hit lucky on getting a reservation for that, because.
And it is worth obviously checking back and trying to book and trying different times. And seeing what's available, because obviously people might cancel reservations, you might get lucky and a one might pop up. This was the first time on this trip, and you'll have seen that in the vlogs, where we managed to eat and get a reservation at downtown. And once we were in there, it's quite a small restaurant compared to somewhere like Chuckwagon and things like that. A, it's popular, but B, it's also quite small. And we mentioned this about them turning the tables around quite quickly once you're finished.
You literally couldn't get your knife and fork down, and it's not a complaint. It's literally like the service of they're like on you like all the time, taking like your empty plates away and just clearing the table, and just they do keep coming around asking you if you want any of the drinks or anything as well. But obviously your first drink is included in the price. Your cold drink is included.
If you want a hot drink, you're gonna have to pay for the hot drink, and you do get one cold drink. It could be water or a sort of fizzy drink, fizzy cold
coffees,
drink or something
anything
like
that.
That you would pay for.
Don't know about alcohol.
That's not included.
I think the alcohol obviously is going to be a separate charge as well, so just be aware of that, and that alcohol can be quite expensive as well.
And according to the Disneyland Paris website, you can book up to 2 months in advance, or you can book upon your booking confirmation for Disney hotel guests. So if you are staying off site, it may be that the restaurants are going to fill up quicker because Disney hotel guests can book that a little bit further out. So just try and get in, see if you can get the restaurant that you want, and then hopefully you will. So the next tip we've got, tip number 2, wear comfy shoes. I know that seems like an obvious one, but you will be doing a lot of walking, whether it's walking from your hotel in the morning to the parks, which I would definitely recommend if it is dry and you are able. The furthest hotels are Santa Fe and Cheyenne. They're about 20-minute walk.
About.
You know, you go along the river to Lake Disney, through Disney Village to the park entrances. About 20 minutes, I would say. But apart from that, you will be walking a lot in the parks, whether that's back and forwards to rides, back for somewhere for lunch, whether you're coming out of the park for lunch, whether you're walking, from Disneyland Park to Walt Disney Studios and you're park hopping. You will be doing a lot of walking. Comfy shoes are a definite must. When we were there, we tend to do maybe 20 to 22,000 steps a day. So that's quite a good few miles. So unfortunately I couldn't do it on my watch this time because my watch strap actually snapped. Normally my watch will count, how many miles and what steps we're doing. So I wasn't able to track. My phone did track it, but I don't think that's really very accurate, was it?
No, I don't think it was.
So I would say 20 to 22,000 a day is a good amount of steps. Obviously it depends on you, your walking capability, how fast you walk, whether you've got kids with you and you're running after them and things like that, how long you're waiting in queues. If you're in a quick queue and then you walk into another ride quick, you could be waiting in a queue for a couple of hours in the summer and you're not going to do as many steps. But still, even just standing still for quite a period of time can hurt your feet on the day. And we found that out when we waited for the new Disney Tales of Magic show on the first night. We literally waited 2 hours. I waited at the hub from 6 till 8, just literally standing up because it was filling up really, really early. So it does kind of hurt your feet even just standing. So tip number 2, wear comfy shoes. Tip number 3 is to make use of both the Liberty and the Discovery arcades at either side of Disneyland Park. It's been specifically engineered this way because obviously when they built the parks in Paris, it's not like California, it's not like, Florida. And yes, I know they get bad weather sometimes, but obviously we don't get as much sunshine as what they do. So there is the arcades at either side of the park. The Liberty is on the left hand side, and the Discovery arcade is when you go on the right hand side, and you can literally just come in the park, go all the way to the either side and walk up. And the good thing is, if you go through the Discovery arcade, which is the one that's on the right, that will get you up to, I think, is it Tomorrowland Terrace?
Tomorrowland, yeah.
And kind of Tomorrowland way. There's not much in that one, is that there's access to a couple of shops.
The shops and that, you can still get in, like,
get in
the,
through
like,
there.
the side entrance
The
doors.
shops up Main Street, you're kind of coming in the back end of them.
And there's toilets in there as well.
But the ones, the Liberty arcade, which is the one on the right, that has toilets, that has access to the shops. That also has a little 5-minute showing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is like right in the middle of the arcade as well.
That's quite canny, just to
but
go in.
with that one, you can get right up into Frontierland and through Frontierland and right up, and it's specifically been designed that way, obviously due to some of the inclement weather that the European park is going to get compared to the American parks. So definitely make use of those arcades on the either side, and that also goes for fireworks shows as well. When a fireworks show is finished on the night, people are obviously packed in, and sometimes it is a bit of a fight to get back out of the park with thousands of other people. So everybody will kind of pile down Main Street. If you go off to the side and go down the arcades, sometimes it is a little bit quieter than just trying to walk down Main Street. So tip number 3, make use of both arcades on either side of Main Street. So tip number 4 is going to be, if you are staying in Disney Hotel or a partner hotel and you have access to extra magic hours, definitely make use of these extra magic hours. It's an hour normally before the park opens. It's specifically for guests that are staying in a Disney resort or at a partner hotel, and it will give you basically an hour early entry into the parks before anybody that's not staying in a Disney hotel will get, and that can really make a difference to the day, and we've found this on a couple of occasions now, haven't we? I would still say, so to give you an example, if you've watched the last vlogs where we were just in Disneyland Paris in January, one of the days we got to Disney Studios Park, and we got there literally at 8:30, and we knew this, do you know, before we'd done that, we were running late on that day, but we got there at 8:30, and there was obviously already quite some long queues to go into the park. By the time you wait in those queues and get into the park, you're then at, sort of 10-15 minutes later into that hour, and some of the rides already have people running to the rides to get there first thing. Say Crush in Disney Studios Park, that can be already an hour plus. So our tip is make use of those extra magic hours, but also make sure you get there about sort of 25 to 30 minutes early than the extra magic hours begin as well. That way you'll be near the front of that queue. You'll be straight into the park when it opens. And I mean, I've been on Crush's Coaster before and been back off within about 5 minutes, and I've come outside and the queue is already at 60 minutes plus. But I mean, in extra magic hours, we've managed to do, say, Crush, Spider-Man and Ratatouille, which are 3 of the big major rides, and Tower. So 3-4 major rides in that first hour before the park is really busy for the rest of the day. So tip number 4, make use of extra magic hours. Tip number 5 is to make sure that you get into the virtual queue for either the Spider-Man encounter or the heroic hero encounter as well. So it's at the training centre up the back of Avengers Campus, right next to Flight Force. This is a virtual queue. You will need to go into the app. Normally there is 3 times a virtual queue will open in that day. Make sure you're in the app, you change it to characters, you'll see the training centre, you'll click on it, you'll sort of click join virtual queue, it'll say how many people, what time, and then that will join that virtual queue for you. Now those virtual queues can go quite fast as well. There was one day we kind of forgot and we missed that first virtual queue. We did go to join the next one.
It was about half an hour after the first.
It was, I think, 20 to 25 minutes early, about 25 past 10 in the morning, and the virtual queue was already full. So it said the next queue didn't open till 2:30. I did go on
before
like 20 that queue, about 20 past 2. And that virtual queue had already gone as well. I don't know how. I'll be honest with you, the queue didn't even open. It literally just shown the 5:30 queue. I don't think there was any issues with it that day because there was still people going in.
Yeah, because you would keep refreshing it as well.
Yeah, because I kept refreshing the queue before 2:30 just to see, is it open yet, because we wanted to make sure we got on. But yeah, so make use of that virtual queue. If you can get on right at 10 o'clock, get in that virtual queue, pick who's going, and basically it will give you a countdown. So it will say, you know, I don't know, 180 minutes in the virtual queue, and it does show up next to your magic passes for your hotel or your annual passes. You'll also see an option in there that says character encounter, where you can click on it and see how long your wait time is. But that will basically just drop away as you're going around the park. Don't go early. They will not let you into that training centre until it literally says 0 minutes. So as soon as it hits 0 minutes, make your way to the training centre. You'll wait inside for maybe another 5 to 10 minutes max, and then you'll go on. It is only one per day, so if you choose Spider-Man one day, you can't go back into a virtual queue for one of the random Avengers, which is what the heroic encounter is. We managed to do both because we were there at the parks 2 separate days. Yeah, so we did Spider-Man the first day. We did the heroic encounter the second day.
Yeah, another day.
Yeah. So we did that.
And who did we get?
You didn't even know who it was.
Black
really.
Panther, I think.
It was. And she was also convinced that Ant-Man walking around was the Wasp. I was like, it's Ant-Man. She's like, no, it's the Wasp. I was like, no, it's Ant-Man. She doesn't do Marvel.
I don't know.
So tip number 5, make sure you get into that virtual queue as early as possible if you want to do one of the meet and greets for the Avengers. So this one is just a little bit of a money saving tip. If you are staying on site, you can get some cheaper snacks than what you can do in either the hotel shops or the parks, and that is by making use of one of 2 places. In the train station where the park entrances is, that's the Marne-la-Vallée Chessy station. If you just come out of the parks and into that train station, there is a couple of places in there where they will sell like snacks with, you know, crisps and things and biscuits and things like that.
Sandwiches
so,
and like macarons, and there's like a boulangerie as well. So you can pick up your pastries.
You can pick up a few kind of in-room things, can't you really? Drinks and things like bottles and stuff, cheaper than you can in the parks. The other place is, if you are near the Santa Fe Cheyenne end, there is a garage which is right outside the entrance to Santa Fe. Literally, it is at the front gate of the hotel. But you can go in there and they have a small selection of certain things as well that you can buy, didn't they? They had some sandwiches in the fridges and crisps,
like
chocolate.
Milk. There's like milk and milkshakes and drinks, and there's quite a lot like in there, like varied.
Yeah,
it's worth a look in, even just to check it out for like another time, even say. Yeah, we've been a few times when we've gone to the garage and like recommended it as well to other people who have gone, so it's worth having a little look.
That was tip number 6, even though I didn't say it at the beginning. So tip number 6, if you want a few cheaper in-room snacks, you've got the garage and the train station, which might save you a little bit of money. Tip number 7. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get a 10. You're going to have to use your fingers.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Go and have a visit to Val d'Europe. It is literally only 1 train stop away. We actually timed this on the last trip because we hadn't been on the train for quite a while.
Oh yeah, it was a while.
Like, quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what, let's get the train this time instead of taking the car. And when we went, it is literally 2 minutes. When that train starts to move, 2 minutes later, you are at that next stop. So it's only 1 train stop away. It was €2.50 at the time when we went, which was January 25, so very recent at the moment. It's €2.50 per person per way. So, you know, we got 2 people there and we had 2 people returning, so it was €10 total, and that got we're basically there and back. There is a few restaurants. We've seen various different ones. Italians, there was I think there was like Korean, there was sushi and stuff. There's Hotel Elysee, which we will be staying in for our next trip, which will be the first time we've ever stayed outside the Disney sort of bubble. But there is also a massive shopping centre, Val d'Europe shopping centre, and we've, you know, put videos up on our vlogs about that if you want to have a look what kind of things is there. But, you know, there's quite a lot of shops. There's bakeries, there's a food court, there's Sea Life, there's a L'Occitane shop, there's Paul's, there's a massive Orchard outlet, and then there's also some higher end in La Valley Village shopping centre, which is out the back where the Sea Life Centre and the food court is. They have, you know, like Timberland, Versace,
That's where the L'Occitane is.
Yeah,
like
that's where the
outside.
L'Occitane is as well outside there. But there was a lot of
like
shops,
your name,
Oaks,
Oak,
like all
yeah.
name brands, Tommy Hilfiger, all of
Samsonite
those.
for your cases.
Yeah, there's so many shops out there, and the sales on and things like that as well. So there's lots to do, lots to see, lots to shop at. So yeah, tip number 7. If you've got time and it allows, and you've got a little bit of a spare time, even if it's only an extra morning, you want to break from the parks, go one train stop, visit Val d'Europe, and do a little bit of retail therapy for yourself. So, tip number 8. When you're leaving the fireworks shows on the night time, a lot of people will rush out the parks, and I get that. You know, you've had a long day in the parks, you've been wandering around, you've got kids, they're tired, you're tired, and people just want to get back. If you can, hang around after those fireworks. Let people make their way out of the park. It makes for a much more pleasant experience on a night time, doesn't it?
You know, good photo ops
yeah,
as well.
You can get some really good photos if you can with just the castle itself or you and not many other people around. There is normally a couple of sort of security or cast members at the back, but we have literally stayed till the very end where security was walking down the street behind us, haven't we?
To get out.
And they were like literally walking behind us as we were like the last ones leaving the park. That's obviously quite extreme when we stayed a little bit, you know, right to the end. But even if you just let the main crowds go, it makes for a much more pleasant exit to the park on a night time. Also, if you do leave with the whole crowds and you do need food, and you're going to Disney Village for food, expect it to be busy. The queues will be big as everybody is leaving that park. Everybody obviously is doing the same thing as you and looking for food. Just makes for that much more pleasant exit if you're not pushing and shoving and getting hit with people's, you know, sort of buggy/strollers as they're going out the park and things. So if you can hang around, get some nice photos with not a lot of people at the castle, wander down Main Street, makes for a much more nicer exit. So tip number 8, hang around if you can. Tip number 9. Again, this is the one if you've got a little bit of extra time. Obviously, if you're only doing 1 or 2 days in the parks, you're going to want to just do the parks and do everything that the parks have to offer. But if you are staying a little bit longer, check out some of the resorts. It's really nice to just go and sit, say, in the Skyline Bar in Hotel New York, or go to the Disneyland Hotel. If you've got a restaurant booking there, you can go to the restaurant. All of the hotels have their own stores inside them, some of them with exclusive merchandise to that hotel. Like if you'd seen in the haul video, Ange had the Sequoia mug. Some of them sell t-shirts and candles, like, you know, you can buy a candle or a scent if you like the scent of that hotel. So there's quite a lot you can do in there between eating, sitting for a drink, shopping, even just having a look around, or, you know, just sitting and enjoying the sort of ambience of the hotel. So that's tip number 9. If you triple hours and you've got a little bit of extra time, chill out in the hotels a bit, go and have a look at them. Who knows, you might pick somewhere for your next day. Tip number 10. This is the point where I run out of fingers. If you are staying at a Disney resort, try and book your breakfasts as early as you can. It depends obviously on yourselves and how your mornings go. You guys know, you know, your routine best, and whether it takes you a long time to get ready, whether you want to just get a quick shower and go out the door. If you can get your breakfast booked quite early, then once you are out of there, you can actually get one of the character meet and greets in the hotels, which are normally the shorter waits, you know, a lot shorter than waiting for characters at the parks. When you're in the hotel, they will also tell you, they'll have a meet and greet area, and it will normally have a sign up telling you what times characters meet. If you've got a bit of a later breakfast, those lines tend to be a bit longer, we've noticed, haven't they?
Earlier the better,
yeah.
I think.
If you have a later breakfast, by the time you come out of your breakfast, the people who have had their breakfast earlier are already in the queues to meet the characters, are already away to the parks, and in the queues to get in the parks. So could potentially have a bit of an early breakfast, do a character meet and greet in the hotel, and then walk to the parks and get in. So again, totally depends on you and how your mornings go. But tip number 10, book an early breakfast if you can. Tip number 11. See what I did there? Tip number 11 is to use a service called Skip Tax. Now, this last trip when we went in January, that was the first time we actually used Skip Tax. And this is not, you know, affiliated in any way or anything like that. It's just a service we've used. And also Disneyland Paris actually promotes Skip Tax themselves. What Skip Tax is when you buy merchandise in the parks, now you can't, this is stuff that you're going to export back out of France. So it's, you know, you don't get skip tax on things like meals. If you go to McDonald's, if you've got a restaurant booked like downtown, Pim's, Le Chiremi, anything like that.
Like your food and
yeah,
drinks,
you're not exporting that. I mean, technically you are, depending on when it's still inside you, but
yeah,
you know, it's anything you export. So any merchandise, any toys, any pieces of artwork and things like you know, the artwork we got, what we showed in the whole video, we got the tax back on that part of it. It's fairly easy to do. You can download the Skip Tax app. You will need to take a photo of your passport, and you will need to take a little bit of a selfie so they can match them up and make sure it's you. Once you've done that and kind of validated yourself, you can then literally just start a new refund. They have a special agreement with Disneyland Paris, but what we did is literally keep your receipts for Disneyland Paris, like I say, not food related or anything like that. But you know, if you've bought merch or done anything, keep your receipts, you go into the app, you take a photo of the app, and all you do is, every day, you just take photos of any receipts that you want to add in. When you're getting towards the end of your trip, what you'll do is, there's a button that will generate a barcode for you. When you generate that barcode, it shows up in the app. Now, on the way out of the country, whether that's Eurotunnel ferry, I believe at the airports as well, but the only one we've done is the Eurotunnel one, and I'll put a little bit of footage in just to show you where the terminal is, because they are kind of hidden at the back. Literally, when you get to, you know, in our case, the Eurotunnel, you go right to the back, you see this little kiosk. What you do is you scan the actual barcode, and it will validate that tax refund for you. With ours, with it being quite an easy process, mine already come up validated. I think if there is anything they want to question, you may have to see a customs officer, and you may have to actually show some of the stuff that you're exporting to make sure you are exporting it. But we've got to the machine, we got the little tick. You can either choose to get a refund to your bank or a refund to your PayPal. And to be honest, we had the PayPal refund before we were even back at home, didn't we?
Yeah, you said that it had gone like really, really quickly after like the shuttle.
It was literally, I think, like either that night or very early the next morning after I did it. You know, so hours, and then it was easy just to transfer back.
Got your notification and
to
then,
the bank,
from your PayPal account, and then in.
Yeah, and then when you do the PayPal thing, we saved, I think it was 107 or 8 euros just in tax, and that's something we've never done before. So between the annual pass discounts, which we worked out in the whole video, which was about 94 euros, and then also the 178 euros in tax, we've probably saved about 200 euros just on this current trip that we probably would have spent before by not having the discounts and not using skip tax as well. So we'll definitely be using it again on the next trip.
And I say as well, the skip tax that we did, we looked at it like last January, but you've got to actually do it before you leave.
Yes.
So that's the only thing.
That was one thing we missed out last January, because we kept the receipts, we uploaded them, but we didn't realise that you have to generate the barcode in the app and scan that barcode before you leave France at one of the terminals. So by the time we got home, we're like, oh yeah, let's do this now, and then we couldn't do it because you had to scan it. So this was the first time we'd done it, worked fine, had the refund really quick. So skip tax, yep, definite thumbs up for us from using it. So if you can get more money back, why not? So yeah, tip number 11, use skip tax. So tip number 12, and there's only one more tip after this one. So tip number 12 is take a battery pack. This again might sound like an obvious thing. I have seen people actually pull out a plug, an actual plug and cable, and plug it into a spot wherever they can find it, whether it's in a queue for a ride and they're taking it in and out of various plugs. I've seen somebody outside find a random outlet and plug it in. Yeah,
there is quite a few around the park though, and like in on the ride for obvious reasons, because you're there for like a while. But and the Mickey, it's in the Mickey.
It was when we were waiting for Mickey, people were literally sitting down in the queue, and just if there was a plug there, they were plugging in. But yeah, tip number 12, take a rechargeable battery pack. You know, there's some quite inexpensive ones. If you've got an iPhone, obviously they've got MagSafe and things. You could put your MagSafe battery on and things. You know, the battery pack I've got is round about, I think, 25,000 milliamp hours. It's quite a big one, but that has, you know, fast charging. It has USB-C, it has USB-A. It will charge up literally everything. The camera that I'm using, the extension handle that I've got for it, you know, our phones, my headphones. It will charge up everything. And the good thing is, instead of charging devices on a night time, if you are using various cameras or whatever, you know, if you've already charged them up off your battery pack, all you've got to do is plug your battery pack in on a night time and just charge that battery pack up overnight till you get up in the next morning. It makes it a little bit easier there as well. But yeah, you'll be using your phone quite a lot. And we've seen that with people walking around the parks as well.
You're constantly on your phone because you're on the app and checking your ride times and checking where characters are, what times, and then obviously if you're doing the encounter, when you're in the studios, so you're on your phone
quite a bit.
A lot more than old school times that you would have been when you've been going to the parks.
As well as obviously taking photos and videos and things like that as well. You definitely need some other power to your phone. Generally your phone will not last a full day if you're using it quite heavily. So yeah, tip number 12, I'm just getting used to this now. Take a portable battery pack. May sound like an obvious one, but some people might not think about it or forget. So just make use of that one. So tip number 13, get a spot for the parades at least 25 to 30 minutes early. Main Street will be absolutely crammed full with people. It becomes very busy, especially if there's only one parade a day. Make sure you get there really early for a viewing spot if you want a good view. If you're quite tall like me, sometimes you can just see over people, but
even the selfie sticks.
Yeah, that you're not supposed to have any extendable sticks as well, and you might get called out. And again, this was something I mentioned in the vlog, but yeah, you're not supposed to have any extension, and I got called out on mine a couple of times, but I was fine because it doesn't extend. It's just like a battery handle that plugs in. Selfie sticks aren't allowed anyway in the parks, but get a parade spot quite early, especially if you've got young ones. Sometimes if you stand near one of the bins stroke trash cans on Main Street, that can be quite a good spot. Nobody will really stand in front of them. Cast members are very quick to point out if you're standing off the curb.
Or even sitting on the curb with your feet on the...
They will tell you to get back. But, you know, if your little ones are just above that bin height, they can stand at the bins and they're not going to get anybody in front of them. You know, and obviously you can rest a camera or put a bag or whatever on top of the bin as well. Yeah, there you go, cuppa and a snack. So yeah, so make use of that. So tip number 13, get to the parade spots early. Now I did say there was only one more tip, but we realised there was 13 tips and we don't want to leave that unlucky number there, so we are going to do a tip number 14. So tip number 14, parking at the resorts can be quite hard. We've had experiences at both Santa Fe and Cheyenne where we've turned up and there's been barely any parking. Santa Fe and Cheyenne are quite spread out. The parking at the resorts, I've had to drive literally around the resort to look for a random parking space, and sometimes it can be quite far away from where your actual room is. Even more so this time in Cheyenne because there was no parking whatsoever. So, and again, this was something we mentioned in the vlogs, but people were literally pulling up on the path.
You couldn't have gotten past with a buggy, like, could you? You couldn't, or like a wheelchair or anything. You couldn't.
People were also pulling up like on the embankment,
on the grass embankment,
which was becoming then all muddy and things like that. And you're seeing people like literally wheel spinning to get the cars like up a slight embankment to get it off the road.
Quite big as well. The curb was like
the curbs were quite high. I was very careful putting the car up the curb because they were quite high, and it wasn't until it was really late one night when on that first night when we came back from the parks, you know, so you're talking like probably after 9 o'clock at night, where we actually walked around the car park to see if there was any spaces, and there was a lot more spaces free. So I don't know if it was just, you know, there was a lot of people leaving on that Monday we arrived, but you know, we've had some trouble with parking at resorts sometimes, so be prepared depending on when you arrive. If there's a whole group of people arriving at the same time, you know, you might struggle for a little bit of parking. We've not really parked at Newport, Hotel New York.
I mean, Sequoia was alright when
Sequoia
we
was
got
okay.
there.
That was really early morning.
We got like early
That was
doors
really
because
early
we
morning.
left Cheyenne quite early, and then to go around to get to Sequoia Lodge car park, but that was okay. I mean, we didn't really drive around. We just
literally
like
found a space. There was quite a few spaces free, but just be prepared if you are staying in a resort and you are driving over there. You may have to just drive around until you find a space, or park your car until later on, and you may have to move it again if a spot becomes free somewhere closer to where you're staying. So that is
And there is electric points that we did see.
There is
at Sequoia
there is electric
anyway.
car charging
sure
points.
about.
I've seen quite a few Teslas and things plugged in some other cars.
I don't know about
but they are quite sparse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed in Santa Fe and also Cheyenne, there's not many. There was a few in Sequoia as well.
Sequoia, yes, that we seen where we were parked behind
again,
us.
I've seen somebody, and this was in Sequoia, move their car because there must have been no spots free, so there was a spot free and they've obviously noticed it or come back to check. And I've seen them literally like moving their car from one space into a spot with a charger. So, you know, just be aware of that as well. But yeah, tip number 14, be very wary of your parking, and you may have to move your car later on, whether that's either because you couldn't find a spot or you need to move it to a charger. That is our tips, which turned out to be 14 tips for Disneyland Paris. That's just the things we've picked up on this last trip. Obviously, if we come up with any more in the future, we may do another tips video. But yeah, that is our 14 tips for Disneyland Paris. We hope you enjoyed. We hope it'll help some of you out. And that being said, we are going to love you and leave you, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
So we'll sing you a little song, and it won't be very long. About so long, so long.